Looks like I am live. I have no idea how this looks for anybody else, but I'm gonna, this is my first time using StreamYard to go live. And so I am hoping that I can reach the audience for the Plant Your Seeds of Transformation podcast and provide you with some helpful insights and hopefully give you some hope also. This is our season finale for season 3. I am going to go ahead and take a look at some of the platforms that I put this on and make sure that it's actually there. So give me a second so I can take a look and see if it's actually there. Yes, it's there. Yay. Okay. So the topic for today centers around how Black women leaders can keep their joy despite the crisis or trauma that not necessarily even that they may have gone through in the past, but what they're going through right now. And I talked about this a little bit in one of my Medium articles earlier, but I want to hit on this topic with more depth because I know very well what it feels like to be in the midst of crisis and trauma and drama and not feel like I could see my way out of that and maintain my joy. And a lot of women, a lot of Black women leaders specifically, are going through so much. They have compounded crisis, compounded trauma. It's like a pile on. Things just keep piling on and it starts to really weigh you down. How can you keep your joy when it's like the weight of the world literally, it feels like it's literally on your shoulders? You may be a wife, a mother, both, a daughter. You may be a caregiver to a loved one. You may be have just not been able to get things worked out with your finances. You might have lost your job, might have decided to walk away for your mental health. There's so many things that could have happened that compound things. It could be a combination of all of that. It could be that you're experiencing some type of discrimination or some type of um, mistreatment. You may be dealing with toxic relationships. You may be dealing with, like I said, a combination of all these things. But how do you keep your joy in the midst of all of that? And the reason I'm asking this is not just because I think it's a rhetorical question. No, I think that you may be able to answer that question for yourself. I've been able to answer the question for myself because I've had compounded, complex trauma and crisis. And I know what it feels like to just feels like everything is trying to pile on you all at one time. I know what that's like. But here I stand, right? So, what brought me through? I can share my story, but what's your story? A lot of times, those of us who are kind of natural born teachers, we want to just tell our stories and tell, what we've been through and how we made it through and things like that. But what's your story? Your story is not going to necessarily be the same as my story. So, it's important for you to be aware of what your story is. What is your story? How are you making it through today? What are you doing today to make it through, to keep your joy in the midst of it all? What are you doing? What's your story? Can you help somebody? Can you inspire somebody and give someone hope. All right, so my story is that I am a wife and a mother, and our family has been through some major crisis and trauma due to illness, due to financial changes, which were pretty much tied in with the illness, due to um, changes with moving, rental prices changing. There's so so many things that have happened that have impacted our lives and made us, and when I say us, I mean my family, not just me, made us feel that pressure, that weight, that uncertainty. Uncertainty, if nothing else in the world is more clear to people now, it's the impact of uncertainty on your psyche, on your mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being. The great thing is that when you develop your own self, me personally, developing my spiritual side, that's what's helped me come through with my joy intact. And I would say even stronger. People often use the phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I believe that that's very true by experience. What doesn't kill you can make you stronger. It doesn't always make people stronger. Some people don't know how to let it make them stronger. So, how can you let all of that crisis, trauma, and drama make you stronger? How can you keep your joy in the midst of it and let it make you stronger? My story is that my faith has been the foundation for my life since I was a teenager. I shared about this in my Medium article for the Plant Your Seeds of Transformation podcast community. I shared about that part of my journey. I'm not going to reiterate all that right now. Just suffice it to say that my spiritual walk is part of that foundation that I've been able to build off of. If you've heard the expression of you just need faith as small as a mustard seed, I can relate to that in terms of dealing with crisis and trauma and drama and the compound effects of many of those types of things piling up on top of each other. But that little seed up underneath it all, if you nourish it, give it the right water, the right nutrients, that pressure on top of it, it will actually shoot up. It'll germinate up underneath in the dark. When you put a seed in the ground, it looks like it's dead. That seed disappears. It seems to be dead. But with the right elements in place, that seed will actually germinate and become a plant. It'll become a shoot first. It'll shoot up through the surface eventually, and over time become a full-grown plant. It doesn't look good though. Another spiritual example, another example that comes from my spiritual background, Jesus' body going in the ground, going in that cave that they buried him in. That was almost like a dead seed being planted and then risen up again in 3 days, right? So a lot of times people don't see, no, most times human beings don't see death as winning. But in Jesus's case, death was winning for him. And the winning would not have come without the death, right? And that's a hard thing to hear. It's so hard to hear that you got to go through these trials and these tests and these tribulations and this crisis and this trauma to come out stronger and healthier and wiser, mentally healthier on the other side. That's hard to hear. Who in the world wants to go through all of that? Nobody. I know for sure I didn't. I was mad as all get out. when life started falling apart right before my eyes. I was very angry and very upset, um, and not just the most recent crises, but in the past when I've had other crises. Very angry. I didn't wanna go through that. Who does? But the joy comes on the other side. Excuse me, the joy is like a it's almost like a pebble, a rock. It's not going anywhere. It's there. The circumstances and situations around it can affect it, but water can erode rocks over time, and it can actually create some of the most famous shapes in the world. There's a famous park, I think it's near Yosemite Park, where some of the rocks are actually like in the shapes of natural arches from the water erosion. Beautiful. They were shaped by the water erosion into beautiful shapes. Another example from life, from nature, the butterfly. When that caterpillar dies, anybody that doesn't pay attention to that process after it dies, they would just think this thing is dead, right? But we all know that caterpillar is transformed out of that process. And that's one of the reasons why the butterfly is one of my very favorite symbols. As a matter of fact, I put that on the front of my car. I love the metaphors that have helped me in my life f- surrounding butterflies is just amazing. The pressure that life can put on you when you're in the midst of trials, traumas, dramas, crises, and when those things compound, that hurts. I'm not going to mince words. It hurts. And one way that you keep your joy in the midst of it all is by getting help with dealing with that hurt. You don't have to do it alone. You have to have a village, a community to support you. And this is something that I learned really well. It didn't take me long to get the lesson. When I was recently going through some tough stuff, started plugging in with community, it changed my whole perspective. Having that community while I was dealing with those things, it was so vital and critical to my growth. And I'm specifically talking about becoming a caregiver to my loved one, going to support groups where I was really learning how to support them properly made a world of difference. I thought, I didn't have much faith that it would be very helpful, but it was much more helpful than I ever expected. God has created us as part of community. We are not asexual beings. We don't just pop up, break off a arm, and create a whole nother human. God created human beings to be in families, to be in communities. That's the way we were designed. And so trying to just deal with everything on your own without community, that could actually be deadly. And so I want to encourage you, if you do want a supportive community, definitely check out our co-working through the Plant Your Seeds of Transformation podcast community. If you are not yet part of our community, you can go to plantyourseeds.show/support, and you'll learn more about the community and how to join. A lot of people are suffering in silence, and that will kill your joy. You'll never be able to maintain your joy in the midst of isolation. Yes, you may be a Christian person, you may be a spiritual person, but you are not an island. So even if you feel like, "Oh, I'll come through this or whatever," you're still not an island. You can still be better, do better, feel better, think better in community. One of the greatest things that I've also learned is as you're plugging in with community, you also have opportunities to serve other people. And as you serve other people, which is what I'm doing through this podcast, as you serve other people, you get healing for yourself. As you talk and share, that brings healing. What are you going to, if you're not in community, if you don't want to get in community, or you just not making any effort to get in community, who are you going to talk to? Yourself? Yeah, you can, but that's not good for your mental health. We were not, especially women, we were not created to be completely isolated all the time. It doesn't even matter if you're an introvert. And I think a lot of introverts, like me, I am partially introverted, partially extroverted. I think a lot of introverts during the pandemic found out that they may not be as introverted as they thought they were. That isolation is not healthy. It's not good. When you get in community, that can help you keep your joy because you gain perspective. You see things differently in community. All right, so one last thing. If you're not part of our community, then you wouldn't know the following details. So I'm going to try to share a little bit more about our community so you know. We have a community of Black women leaders who support each other through what we call co-working. Some people call it Pomodoros. And we work on our own stuff solo by ourselves in our home offices, cars, wherever we happen to be. We work on our own stuff, but in between, we have breaks. And during these breaks, we share with each other, we encourage each other, we ask each other, how's your progress towards your focus goal for today or for this segment, for this Pomodoro? And we share and we encourage each other. We remind each other to journal things down so we'll know what our progress has been. Having this type of community has been life changing for me. I've gotten so much done over the last 6 months, things that I was just totally demotivated and didn't want to do. But also, I've gained joy from being encouraged by being part of this community. So, if that's something that you would also like, you can join us through plantyourseeds.show/support. Go over there, click on um, the the group link will lead you over to Patreon. Patreon is where our group lives. We have monetized the group so that we can make sure that we can make it sustainable over time. All of the things that I'm doing to produce the podcast, to create and maintain the group, these things cost me time. I'm willingly serving, I'm not complaining, but for it to be sustainable over time, it does need support from the audience. You all are the audience, and I'm so grateful for you. I hope that this live has been helpful for you. If it has been, please share it. If you'd like to be part of the community, go to plantyourseeds.show/support. This is the season finale. Season 4 will be coming soon. I'll put some announcements out when it's coming forth. It'll probably be starting after the first of the year. But as I said, I will keep y'all alerted through the blogs, through the community, and I hope that you have a wonderful this is the end of fourth quarter. Yeah. We're about to start, end of third quarter. We're about to start fourth quarter. If you have a business, I'm talking about for business people. If you have a business, it's crunch time. We're at the end of the year. Don't give up. Never give up. You can do this. It doesn't matter if you are experiencing crisis or trauma. With the right support, including your own personal spiritual development, and with getting into community. With the right support, from God and from other people. Okay? You can do this. Don't give up. Doesn't matter what happened in quarters 1 through 3. That's in the past. Move forward. But if you need support with moving forward, reach out to me through plantyourseeds.show. You'll see how you can get mentorship by becoming part of the community, but also you can get access to paid coaching services when you become part of the community. All right. God bless you. Take care now. Bye bye.